we're telling you right now that you need to stop this. This is actually owned by a private vendor.
No, I double checked while you were gone. This is a community park. It's
a community park, but it's rented out.
Yeah, but only the restricted area. So the community building, where the stage is set up, where the vendors are, those are all restricted areas.
Sure.
Everything else is unrestricted. Everything else remains a traditional public forum. Okay. And soliciting for non-commercial purposes is protected free speech. So so if you were asking me to leave, I'm not going to stop doing this. So I don't know what you're going to write another citation?
Honestly, I'm not going to write another citation.
Okay.
Okay.
This is for you.
All right, so I'm going to stay here and solicit. So you guys are getting sued. I told you multiple times. So that says non-profit. I'm not a non-profit. This is purely educational. So as long as it's non-commercial, non-profit, no organization relation, you don't need a permit. You don't need to ask permission. It's a First Amendment right protection.
There's been an ordinance that's been passed specifically by the town of Delavan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Your ordinance can't beat the First Amendment rights. Your ordinance has to be in line with your First Amendment rights. So every ordinance in the town of Delavan has to abide by the Constitution.
Huh?
The direction you were going in.
Well,
so that's,
I don't want to write the ticket.
Yeah.
I just was asked to enforce this ordinance because we're having a community event here.
That ordinance doesn't apply to non-commercial purposes.
This ordinance does. You have to have a permit.
Okay.
Yeah, you have
all
to
right.
have a permit.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I know for a fact you're lying right now.
Okay.
So I know you're lying. I know it's right.
No, I printed this out for you.
You're still not listening. I know you're
listening.
Okay.
You're not listening.
I'll take I'm not going to argue with you anymore.
Then
I'll take a lawsuit. Okay, you're going to write the citation? You're not getting my idea unless you're writing the citation.
I'm going to go research this.
Go research it, man. Why would you come over here and create this scene if you don't know the law before you come over here?
Because you were the one that just educated me on the law. Because you were the one that just educated me on the law. Because you were the one that just educated me on the law.
Okay,
You're
but you should have
asking
done
me to
that.
know?
You're supposed to have gravity. Police officers are supposed to have
I
gravity.
printed this ordinance right here. So
Yeah.
you are in violation of this ordinance.
Okay,
for
well,
sure.
I'll take if you're positive, if you're 100% certain, I'll take the citation.
Okay, I'll take your ID.
Okay.
Now, are you going to leave or stop doing this once I write this?
Today's video comes to us from John Lattimore. On June 7th, 2025, John was at the Delavan Lake Community Park during the public Lake Fest. He was fundraising in an open area, away from vendors and causing no disruptions, when two officers approached him and cited him for soliciting without a permit under Delavan's 11.18 ordinance. However, what these cops didn't know is truly astounding because their only job is to know this, and that's the law. And the law clearly states, and was upheld by the Supreme Court, stating a non-commercial fundraiser is protected as part of free speech. If you're not a professional fundraiser, and you're not being paid to fundraise, and it's for educational purposes, you don't need a permit. But it's not surprising that these cops didn't know the law. In fact, the female cop in the video, Officer Miller, is very new to the Delavan PD. That's because she was a problem child somewhere else. On a Facebook post, the chief of the Sharon Police Department in Sharon, Wisconsin says, Officer Miller departs our agency today. Officer Miller will be moving on to another department within Walworth County. She left Sharon with absolutely zero fanfare and a whole list of complaints. But she only had to travel 19 minutes north to get herself a new job, a new gun, and a new badge. And now she continues to violate the law and citizens' rights. Only this time she has a supervisor that'll help her do it. I found this video extremely interesting. I love jumping into videos that are outside of my realm of expertise and my comfort zone. And this whole soliciting thing was definitely in that bracket. And this next part isn't a prediction, it's a spoiler alert. I called a civil rights attorney from Green Bay, Wisconsin, about 2.5 hours away from Delavan. And he concurs with the poster of this video. The cops got it wrong, and that makes sense. That's why after they wrote the citation, they took a walk of shame before ever attempting to enforce it. Let's jump into the video.
Mr. Miller, this is my captain.
All right.
Mom Sebastian.
How are you doing?
You were told you're asking for money?
Yes.
And let me just say the irony is nothing short of brilliant. You got a cop wearing pigtails. Pig wearing pigtails. And I'm not judging. Delavan is also obviously hurting for talent. I mean, I'm sure that the only time they get new officers is when cops get kicked out of other departments. They're like, come on over here. Steal third base and the evidence. But back to pigtails.
What for?
A fundraiser that has non-commercial purposes.
Okay, what's the fun? For an organization?
No, I just told you it's non-commercial. So no organization, non-profit, no business relations, no goods or services are being exchanged. It's all non-commercial.
Okay. Well, my captain was nice enough to print off the ordinance for you here.
Yeah.
To be able to do a fundraiser, you have to get a permit.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
As long as it's non-commercial, it doesn't matter. Across the state of Wisconsin, it has to be for goods or services. So your captain left out details. It has to be solicitation. There's two solicitations: commercial and non-commercial. That's a solicitation ordinance for commercial solicitation.
Well, it says for nonprofit purposes.
I'm not a nonprofit, so this is purely educational. So that says nonprofit. I'm not a nonprofit. This is purely educational. So as long as it's non-commercial, nonprofit, no organization relation, you don't need a permit. You don't need to ask permission. It's a First Amendment right protection. So you should go back and ask your captain for non-commercial solicitation.
I'm the captain right here.
Oh.
Yeah, I printed this
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
So you seem like a really intelligent person. You look and portray yourself like a really smart person. I could tell you probably went to school. I'm not lying to you. You have a First Amendment right to ask for donations,
sure,
as long as you're not asking for money in exchange for goods or services at any time in a public park. So you don't need a permit. It's not solicitation. It's not for a nonprofit. It's not for a business. You don't need a permit. I've done this for 8 weeks. I know the law. I've done it across the state of Wisconsin.
What's the statute you're looking up here?
It's a First Amendment right to ask for donations.
So First Amendment right. So there's an ordinance passed in the town of Delavan.
Yeah,
This is
but
the
your ordinance
right
can't trump the First Amendment rights of people to ask for donations for non-commercial purposes.
But asking for donations,
Yeah.
whether it's for any reason,
Yeah, but
is
that is-
considered begging.
No, it's
under the
not
ordinance.
panhandling.
Yes,
It's not
it is.
panhandling.
It is. It
Okay,
is. Because
sir.
you're asking for
Sir,
donations.
I
Yes.
promise you that I've dealt with this before and I've won. I know the law. I know for.
I guess what's
It's the First Amendment right. It's something versus Reed. The United States Supreme Court has already determined that people have a right to ask for donations as long as you're not asking for money in exchange for goods or services, or you're not associated with an organization. If so, the government has to keep track of every dollar you donate, every dollar that's donated.
I get that from a state, maybe a state standard limit. There's been an ordinance that's been passed specifically by the town of Delavan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Your ordinance
And the
can't
town of
beat the
Delavan.
First Amendment rights. Your ordinance has to be in line with your First Amendment rights. So every ordinance in the town of Delavan has to abide by the Constitution. It is a constitutional right to ask for donations the way I am asking right now. It's not a business. It's not a nonprofit, and I promise you that it is completely legal. So
based on you just saying that it's
Yeah.
completely legal is
Yeah.
not good enough
Okay.
for me. You know what
All
I
right.
mean?
All
I'm
right.
working
Well, I
off
get
the ordinance here. Okay.
Would you like to take an opportunity to ask your legal department to double check that if it's non-commercial and he's not a business, it's not business related, and it's a completely educational purposes, if he's allowed to donate, ask for donations in a
For
public park?
educational purposes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the ordinance, I'm enforcing the ordinance.
Yeah.
Whether the ordinance
Okay.
or not is a standard
Okay.
that's already been looked at by our legal department
I
when
hear
they
you.
passed the law.
I hear you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You've got a
yeah.
municipal town attorney
Yeah, I believe you.
that's contracted. And
I
when
trust
they passed
that.
the law, they had that.
And it was legal.
I'm here to enforce the ordinance.
So as long as I'm not doing that,
Do you want to read it?
That's why I printed it off for you.
I'll record it.
It's for you.
You can keep
have
it. You can take it.
No, I know because I've done this before for like 8 weeks.
Sure.
So I've had this conversation before and I've won.
Okay.
And it's like you guys are repeating history.
Sure.
I shouldn't have to go to 10 cities and have to replay repeat myself.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
So, and it's like these,
frustrating.
yeah, the police officers are not like, they're clearly misinterpreting the law purposefully. That law is legal, but I'm not breaking it because I'm not a nonprofit, and I'm not asking.
This lists a nonprofit,
Yeah.
but it also lists other.
What about
items as well.
non-commercial?
So
Does
it says
this?
commercial.
Yeah, I'm
charitable,
non-commercial.
Non-purposes goes upon premises
Yeah.
to promote, advertise,
Okay.
campaign, persuade,
Yeah.
beg, or otherwise solicit for any purpose.
Yeah, that applies to people who are commercial, asking for money for commercial purposes, or asking for money on behalf of a charity, or asking for money on behalf of a nonprofit. I'm not doing any of those things. Those three things don't apply to people who are asking for educational purposes, for no money involved, no organization involved. It is a First Amendment right.
So tell me about the fundraiser then. Educate me on it.
It's a fundraiser to build a tool that improves mankind's existence.
Okay.
So this is not going to be for profit.
Sure.
It's not going to be for organization. It's not for a charity.
Okay.
I'm not in any of those categories. So it's a First Amendment protected activity.
So, and what is it? I guess tell me about it.
It's something about weightlifting. I'm assuming.
It's a weightlifting idea I came up with 4 years ago.
Let me hear about it.
I don't want to tell you about it because
You don't want to tell me about it?
No, as long as it's not one of those three categories, I don't have to tell you about it.
But I guess my question is why won't you speak about it then?
I speak to potential donors about it.
Sure.
Anybody who's interested in donating and they show interest, I talk to them about it. But other than that, I don't like people who accuse me of a crime.
I'm not accusing you of a crime, but we have an ordinance.
Yeah, but your ordinance doesn't apply.
Based on what you're showing me,
Yeah.
this does not mean that you're not making money off of this.
Well,
Because
that would be
you are.
illegal. That
You are
would
making-
so
you're
you would
making
have you could
profit
you could scan the code, or you could do your research. You could go on the internet, and you just tell me I'm making a profit. That's illegal. So that would mean every donation I've ever taken in the future would be tax evasion. That's a federal crime.
That's where I'm trying to ask you to.
Yeah, so I'm not going to commit a federal crime now or be caught later. That'd be stupid. I'm building something, collecting money for something, and then they're going to find out that I made a business off of it.
Okay.
So someone's going to know.
I'm just asking you.
I'm
about
not.
it.
I'm not going to get a federal crime. What do you call that? When you get caught doing what you just said. So if I was going to make a profit off this, if this was for a charity, if this was for an organization, it'd be posted on that QR code, or it'd be very easy to discover whether or not this fundraiser was associated with a charity or organization or a commercial purpose. You don't even have to come approach me. You could discover that all by yourself. You could walk past, look at that sign. It's open to the public. The QR code is open to the public. This sign is open to the public. You could read for yourself and discover what he is doing. Before you came over here, you could have did some investigating to discover his purpose and if it violates any ordinance. But it doesn't violate any ordinance.
That's why we came to talk to you. To
Well,
know
you-
what's going on,
you
but
know,
you're not
people-
telling us what your
I just told you.
fundraiser is about.
I don't have to
and
disclose the details
that's
of how
part of
the
us
machine
investigating.
works.
That's part of us investigating.
Yeah, but that's like
I'll give you two things.
Yeah.
Let's say this entire. I'm sorry. You're saying it's non-commercial.
It's non-commercial.
You're saying it's non-commercial.
Yeah.
You'd still need a permit.
No, you
to
don't.
do it in this park. Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
This
It's
is
a public
town park.
It's a public park.
It's owned by the town of Delavan, though. It's
Yeah.
not a state park. It's a town-owned park.
Yeah, all public park. Is it a public park?
It's a public park.
Then all public parks have to respect the First Amendment constitutional rights to express yourself. So all these parks, every park in the state of Wisconsin has to allow people to express themselves without disrupting the park or using amplification materials like loudspeakers or taking up huge amounts of space. Under those circumstances, you need a permit. You got to ask permission. You got to set up a schedule, and then you can come and solicit, or you can even do what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter if it's commercial or non-commercial. If you take up space, you use amplification devices, if you draw a large crowd, there's lots of rules that require a permit. But as long as it's like just sitting here with a sign and you're not disrupting people, you're not using the amplification device, you're not using a large area, large space, you are allowed to do it.
So that's not true.
That is
in
true.
the town of Delavan.
Okay.
Because in the
Well,
town of Delavan,
yeah.
any of this requires a permit that you would
Okay.
have had to seek out
No.
at the town hall.
I
before
promise
you.
you.
did it.
I promise you that is incorrect. I swear to you, I've heard that same statement, and I've heard police officers correct it. It's not true. You don't need a permit as long as it's non-commercial. and you're not disrupting people, you don't have an amplification device, you don't take up too much space, those are the reasons you need a permit.
What makes it non-commercial versus commercial?
Commercial is business. Anything business related, anything charitable.
How is this not a business?
Because it's education. I don't make $1 off of it. So now, yesterday, today, or tomorrow, I will never make a profit off of this fundraiser.
The argument you're making, though, is every person that's out here panhandling for something.
No, that's for themselves.
Hear me out.
So for food and shelter, that's panhandling. But this is not for food or shelter.
But they could be doing it for an idea. For a non-commercial idea,
but that's theft. That would be theft.
That would not be theft.
Yeah, if you lie to people,
theft would be taking something without the intent to return it.
Well, swindling someone. It's considered swindling. Lying to people and telling them you're going to build an idea and then using the money you received for food or shelter. That's called swindling people. You're lying to people, or theft. It's theft. It's categorically theft. You're lying to people about the purpose of the donation.
Appropriation.
Okay, the law calls it theft.
Theft meets a different statute with a totally different set of rules.
Okay, but all right, I'm not. My point is, I'm not out here telling people I want to build this and then using the funds for food or shelter. So that's panhandling. When you use money from donations from people for personal gain, that's different. This is for educational purposes. I don't gain anything in any way whatsoever from this fundraiser.
Okay, well, bottom line, the park does not want you here, so you do have to leave.
That's illegal.
You can stay, but you cannot be panhandling.
Okay, I'll take the citation.
It's not. We're not going to give you a citation.
Okay, then you're infringing on my freedoms.
We just want you to not do this. You can stay and enjoy.
It's not illegal.
Weather,
it's not illegal. Yeah, I did that. I did that over there. I already did that. It's not illegal. I know my rights. I've been doing this for 8 weeks. I just told you.
Where else did you do it at?
All over Wisconsin. I've done this in I think 60, 70 cities now. Well, not, that's a lie. Probably 30 cities, but 70 or 80 times. And I don't have problems except for the few police officers who don't understand the law. And then they get corrected. It takes 3 months, but they eventually get corrected and told that, hey, he has a right to solicit for donations as long as there's no personal gain. So as long as he's not gaining anything out of it.
I guess, so prove to me that you're not making a personal gain.
That's impossible. That's impossible.
So then how am I supposed to not write the ticket?
Okay, you are supposed to catch me using the funds for non-personal. So you would call the feds. You would basically call the feds or call an investigator and say, hey.
There's 5 guys out here and everyone says non-commercial.
Yeah.
None of them can be touched because even no matter whatever line
unless you can prove they're using the money for a different purpose. You have to follow them or you have to investigate them and prove that, hey, this person was using that money to do this or do that instead of what they told people they were using it for. So I don't know how people get caught doing that, but that's what you have to do. Yeah. For what purpose?
Well, you asked me to write you the ticket.
I didn't ask you to write. Well, I thought that was the direction you were going in.
Well,
so that's,
I don't want to write the ticket.
Yeah.
I just was asked to enforce this ordinance because we're having a community event here.
That ordinance doesn't apply to non-commercial purposes.
This ordinance does. You have to have a permit.
Okay.
Yeah, you have
all right. I don't believe you.
Okay.
I know for a fact you're lying right now.
Okay.
So I just came from Janesville. I know for a fact it's illegal in there. It's a public park. I go to Madison Parks.
Okay.
I go to Stoughton Parks. I go to Egerton Parks. Sure. I go all over the state of Wisconsin.
Sure.
So doing the same thing. So I know you're lying. I know it's right.
No, I printed this out for you.
You're still not listening. I know you're listening. Okay.
You're not listening.
I'll take the. I'm not going to argue with you anymore.
Then
I'll take a lawsuit. Okay. You're going to write the citation? You're not getting my ID unless you're writing the citation.
I'm going to go research this.
Go research it, man. Why would you come over here and create this scene if you don't know the law before you come over here?
Because you were the one that just educated me on the law.
Okay, but you should have done that. You're supposed to have gravity. Police officers are supposed to have gravity.
I printed this ordinance right here, so you are in violation of this ordinance.
Okay, well, sure. I'll take the. If you're positive, if you're 100% certain, I'll take the citation.
Okay, I'll take your ID.
Okay.
Now, are you going to leave or stop doing this once I write the citation?
That's up to you. What's the citation for?
The citation is for not having a permit.
Okay, you're retarded. All right. No, I'm not going to leave. So you might want to write 2. So,
Well, at some point in time, they're going to ask us to remove you.
All right. So that's a citation for trespass, right? So that's 2. You're going to write 2 Oh crap! That's my credit card. 2 citations. 2 citations, right? So you might as well skip through it and go for the trespass citation, because that's the one that's going to get me removed.
I'll take that.
So it's up to you. So I hope you're going to write the citation.
All right. Do you want to hang out of this?
No, you're stupid. You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
You're kind of being rude here.
I don't give a fuck. It's a freedom of speech.
I thought you were educated and
I am educated,
and
but
were
now
gonna be
you
polite, but
you
now
just
you're
violated my
swearing at
rights.
me?
You just violated my rights. You going to
But
write it.
you're telling
Now
me
I
that
have
you
no
can't even
respect for
prove.
you.
You're telling me that you can't even prove.
I do. I have to stop recording to give you the.
That's what I'm looking for, though. You
Yeah.
prove to me that it's
But
non-commercial.
you could do it too,
No, I can't,
Yes,
because
you
I don't
could.
even know what this is.
and that's
No,
why
I'm
you were
saying
supposed.
prove it's non-commercial.
You're
Yes,
supposed
I
to
can go look
investigate.
and see
Yes,
it's
you can.
non-commercial.
You can go on the internet. You can go call your deputies. You can research what this is, or call somebody and discover what is his fundraiser, and is it commercial? Is it associated with a charity? Is it a non-profit organization? If it's not one of those things, he's not in violation of the ordinance. As long as it is for a personal build or non-personal gains,
But
he
I'm
doesn't.
saying you have to
Okay.
explain to me
No, I don't.
that it's for non-personal gains.
I
Because
know,
I'm
I
not
don't.
just going to be able
You're
to find
supposed to
online
figure it out.
that it's not
You
for
could have scanned
non-personal
that,
gains.
came over here and said, "Hey, I want to scan your code so I can discover
I'm
your
not
purpose."
going to scan QR codes that I don't know about. That's how people steal your information.
No, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
No, that is true.
That-
Scanning a QR code can give access to a phone.
All right, dude.
John, so is this your current address?
Yep. I explained the law to you guys 5 times. I'm gonna sue the hell out of you. You
What's
just
your
lost
phone number,
qualified
real quick?
immunity. I'm not giving you that because I don't have to.
That's fine.
Holy
All right,
shit,
we'll
dude.
be back with you here, John.
Holy shit. That's Delavan, dude.
Another thing that's really weird was with the random firefighter just standing in the background. Don't get me wrong, love my firefighters. In fact, in the comments, sound off. Where are my firefighters at? But what need is there for a firefighter? Is the police department itself so inept that the chief's like, all right, every time one of our cops go out there, I can't have them screwing up again, send a firefighter. It makes no sense. So now these cops are going to take a hike and they're going to double down, read, and then reread the ordinance and then understand zero of what they're reading. To be honest, I'm not even convinced that either one of these police officers know how to read. These cops love violating rights, violating the Constitution, harassing individuals, and wasting people's time. It seems like they're hooked on a lot of things. Phonics is none of those things. And now these cops are going to do what I like to call splitting the baby. They're going to come back and they're going to give this man a citation for soliciting, even though he had not been soliciting. But then they're not going to enforce the citation that they give him or force him to leave. And that's the spoiler alert, that they know that he's right, but they just don't want to lose face in front of the community. Waste the taxpayers' time, waste the court's time, send this guy to court, make him take a day off work, and spend money hiring an attorney when you know he did nothing wrong. Great job, Delavan.
Hey, oh, sweet. All right. Okay.
I have a citation for you, okay?
All right. What's the citation?
For license and permit violations,
You're
okay?
insane.
So it's $250.
Mm-hmm.
Full appearance is not mandatory, but if you want to go, it's on August 7th at 5:30.
They like to
This
point
address
the
right here.
point. See, I was just standing right here, like right here, and then you know what she did? She pulls her gun hip right towards me. Bad cops do that. They think if you're mentally ill, you'll reach for their
I'm
weapon.
just trying to explain your citation.
Yeah, but you could have stood over
like I
there.
said, it's not mandatory, but it's on August 7th at 5:30 at
Yeah.
this address.
Okay.
This pamphlet here is all the court information that you're going to need, okay?
Okay, and then can I get the other citation for the trespass?
Now enjoy this next part. It is the quickest concession by a cop ever in history. Record-breaking numbers. The internet has never saw a cop concede this fast before. He's gonna be like, we didn't write you a citation for a trespass because we want to give you the opportunity to leave. And then the citizen's like, well, I'm not gonna leave, so you're gonna have to go write another citation. And then the cop is like, I'm not gonna write another citation, you can stay. This department is a complete joke.
We weren't going to press. We weren't gonna
Okay,
press-
well,
give you the opportunity to vacate this.
All right, I would like the citation for the trespass.
Okay, we're telling you right now that you need to stop this. This is actually owned by a private vendor.
No, I double checked while you were gone. This is a community park. It's
a community park, but it's rented out.
Yeah, but only the restricted area. So the community building, where the stage is set up, where the vendors are, those are all restricted areas.
Sure.
Everything else is unrestricted. Everything else remains a traditional public forum. Okay. And soliciting for non-commercial purposes is protected free speech. So so if you were asking me to leave, I'm not going to stop doing this. So I don't know what you're going to write another citation?
Honestly, I'm not going to write another citation. Honestly, I'm not going to write another citation.
And if this video proves nothing else, it at least proves that if the guy filming was immediately intimidated and scared by these cops and he didn't stand up for himself, then he'd be someplace else. The one place he wouldn't be is at this park. But he stood his ground, he articulated to the cop, and he defended his rights. And he called that cop's bluff. Cop immediately backed down, and it wasn't because he didn't want to do the paperwork. He just wrote a citation. It would take him mere minutes to write another. He went as far as he was willing to go before being named defendant on a potential lawsuit.
Okay.
This is for you.
All right, so I'm going to stay here and solicit. So you guys are getting sued. I told you multiple times I had a right to do this, and you gave me a citation anyways.
Okay.
When I asked you to go over it and explain it, you said you're not making a profit.
Because I don't.
You're a non-profit.
Yeah, yes. No, I'm not a non-profit.
But you're doing a non-profit stuff here.
But non-profits have professional fundraisers. Those people come out and they have to have a permit because they are professional fundraisers and they're paid to fundraise. So you have to have a permit if you're with a non-profit or a charity. Charities have professional fundraisers. I'm not a professional fundraiser. I'm not getting paid to sit out here and ask people for money. So this citation is unlawful.
You can speak to a judge if you go to the court date about it.
You just sacrifice your badge to write me a ticket?
We're enforcing the ordinance.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna sit here and keep fundraising. So.
Okay.
Retarded.
I'm just enforcing the ordinance. Bro, keep it a buck. You're not enforcing the ordinance because if you were, you would have made this guy leave. You would have written him another citation. The only thing you're doing is generating revenue. Let's just be honest with each other, right? Any ordinance or law that abridges the United States Constitution is unconstitutional in its concept. What that means is if the ordinance or law does not align with the Constitution, then it is illegal. It does not have to be followed. Will the cops arrest you for not following it? Maybe. Did this guy get arrested? No. The only way you'll find out is if you stand on your rights, because half the time these cops are just hoping that the intimidation is enough to make you run for the hills. And the worst part is, cops love to follow through on things that aren't real. They love to arrest you on laws that don't exist, that they make up in their small heads. Why didn't the cop do it this time? Because he knew the citizen was telling the truth. He knew the citizen was educated. He went back, he read up on the laws, but he just didn't want to give ground. So he wrote the guy a citation to generate money for the city, and then he left before he could be named in any potential lawsuits. Let me tell you something. I don't think that's going to stop this citizen. And the citizen's name is John Lattimore, and he's controversial in himself. In several of his videos, it seems that he's beefing with the gay community. Haven't looked into what his beef is, nor do I care. He might be right. They might be right. I don't know. What I do know is an innocent American standing on American soil was attempting to engage in his First Amendment right when some dirty cops tried to assert perceived authority and take those rights away from him. And I'll say something. Way too many brave American and women have fought for our rights and sometimes paid the ultimate sacrifice to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Not so some dirty pigs with pigtails can come along and snatch it out of our red, white, and blue hands. Until next time, that's the reason I stopped you today.